Welcome once again to Fired Up. I'm your host for the show, Bob Irwin. We're broadcasting from Rigel Studios here in Las Vegas, Nevada. This show is about guns, related political issues, and self-defense. Fired Up is on our website, Fired Up with Bob Irwin, and on the American Guns and Glory Network, YouTube, and numerous other media. A new show is posted every Thursday at 5 p.m. Pacific Time. The audio feed is rebroadcast for radio listeners Saturdays at noon on the Nevada Talk Network. You can check out KELY1230.com for a station in your area. Questions or comments, send an email to me at bob@firedupmail.com. Again, that's bob@firedupmail.com, or leave a message on my office recorder, 702-257-1060. That's 257-1060, area code 702. If you leave contact information, we'll respond by email, text, or telephone, and we'll get back to you usually within 24 hours. There are several hundred defensive uses of firearms every week in the United States, rarely truthfully covered by any mainstream media. We always present a few of those for listeners' education. Pretty easy. Most are good shooting. Some are questionable. Sometimes they're just plain wrong. But they're all educational for those of you who keep a firearm at home or carry one on your person in your daily endeavors. The individual incidents are generally adjudicated under local law. Advice here might not apply to listeners in different jurisdictions. And now the stories are often paraphrased for clarity by translation from police jargon, lawyer speak, and regional accents into standard American English. Incidents are as reported, except the names are omitted. My guest today, once again, is California and Nevada attorney Donald J. Green. Don?
Thank you, Bob. For all you who don't know me, my name is Don Green, and I'm generally at most all the gun shows, but you can reach me on my direct cellular at area code 702-409-8239, or you can put my name in your browser on your computer. Put Donald J. Green, a gun show lawyer, or Don Green gun show lawyer, and my website will come up. We deal a lot with firearms, and we've been getting a lot of calls from some of your listeners on various issues in the recent past, especially concerning upcoming applicability of Nevada legislation. So give us a call. Thanks.
All right. This story comes to us from KAPP. It's an ABC affiliate, TV 35, reported on the 30th of August, a couple weeks ago, in Sunnyside, Washington. A local woman shot a burglary suspect on her property on Friday night at around 11 p.m. The Yakima County deputies first responded to the woman's home on South Leicester Street about 9 a.m. that same day for the report of a burglary. The woman told police someone used bolt cutters to remove a lock from her gate in order to gain access to her home. Several items were stolen at that time, including a firearm. Later that same night, about 11 p.m., deputies said there was another burglary at the same home. The woman said two strangers she didn't recognize were on her property. She confronted them, but they continued to move toward her. Fearing for her life, deputies said the woman said she fired 2 rounds in their direction and they ran away. They generally do that when you shoot at them. The sheriff's office set up a perimeter. They used a canine dog and found a 22-year-old suspect in a nearby vineyard with a gunshot wound. The gun that was stolen from the woman's property was found on him, a couple of feet from him, where he tossed it, and the stolen magazines and ammunition were found in his pocket. The suspect was hospitalized for several days as a result of being shot and then bitten by the canine before being booked at the Yakima County Jail. The second intruder is likely still at large. What we have here is similar to a story we were doing last week. Comment on this, I have to say, I love a happy ending. The shots appear to be clearly justified, and the suspect was apprehended with a firearm and ammunition, her firearm and ammunition as it was, so he had the evidence in his pocket. There's evidence he was armed when he entered. He even managed to resist arrest enough to become a canine training issue, so the dog got to chew on him a little bit. The only downside here is in ultra-liberal Washington state, they may find a way to blame the intended victim. That being said, it appears she made way too many statements without her lawyer being present, something we harp on all the time. Don, if this is in Nevada, or California, what happens?
In Nevada, it depends on where it happened. Remember, we have two separate incidents here. Well, actually, two reports. One at 9 a.m., the report of the burglary, where she found that someone had used bolt cutters to remove locks from her gate and gain access to her home. You know what, Bob? You and I have done this a million times. It seems as if these would-be burglars had inside information as to what was going on in this house. Either that they knew the woman, they knew she had weapons, they knew she had ammunition, they knew she had magazines, because that's exactly what they went for. Later that night, around 11 p.m., there was another burglary in the same home. And these were these two strangers. She didn't recognize that they were property. She confronted them, but they moved towards her. Now, there's the point right there. What was that movement? How far was it away? In which direction did she shoot? Because she said she fired 2 rounds in her general direction. So when you fire 2 rounds in the general direction, was it as a matter of self-defense? What was behind her? We always have to look behind her. You teach that in all your classes. Yep. You have to look what's behind her. Were there more residences? Was this a rural area? In California, in the example that we'll have a little bit later, Fresno County, El Dorado County, Stanislaus County, perhaps even San Bernardino County, maybe out in the sticks, out in Barstow. And then we have Merced County, maybe. And then we've got Nevada County, Humboldt County, where these things happen way out in the middle of nowhere. But if you're in the big cities, San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, she may have a problem here, simply because where did she shoot and in which direction? Because the bullets have got to go somewhere.
Every round you fire hits something, and as one of the attorneys who used to be on the show all the time says, every round you fire, every bullet has a lawyer attached to it. So here they come. We're going to break just a second here for a couple of words from our friends and associates that support Fired Up, I think. There we go. This first slide is from Freestyle Martial Arts. They're located at Jones and I know where it is. They're at 5693 South Jones, Suite 103. Freestyled MMA. I know the guy that runs it really well. Name is Goker. Great guy. They train all sorts of martial arts competitors there. And last time I went by and stopped to see him, the whole place was full of little kids, all grappling on the ground. There must have been 50 of them in there with the 4 or 5 instructors. They teach children's classes. Great place to go. 702-551-9009. And CCS Gunsmithing, that is at 702-365-1732. Chris Eifelt is the guy that runs it. He runs the NRA, one of the NRA programs for Friends of the NRA. Stop by and see him. Great gunsmith. 702-365-1732. My friend Jerry Creed, the slide we have that you're looking at if you're watching the video is for his estate planning. Jerry also does firearms trusts, particularly Class 3 trusts. We are in the woods with those. If you have a firearms trust that is less than 15 pages long or more than a year old, you need to get a hold of Jerry Creed and find out how to get it updated, because the laws have changed and are changing as we speak. He's at 702-806-7777. 702-806-7777. And Don Green, attorney at law. Who's that? My guest today, you can reach Don, obviously, on his cell phone, 702-409-8239. Obviously, I recommend him in anything to do with a firearm, particularly if you're denied a CCW or in some litigation with the government over I didn't get my gun registration or whatever the hell it is. He does wonderful work in gun cases, knows how to do it. And we are over to CCW Maggie. Lady does great training classes. She's in charge of the well-armed women here. You can find her, the easiest way to find her is punch in CCW MAGGIE on any search engine you've got. You will come up with Maggie Mordaunt. Check it out. Great instructor lady. And my favorite watering hole, Ricardo's. They're at Flamingo and Decatur here in Las Vegas. They do all sorts of events and group meetings and so forth and so on. All the electronic stuff you can put in if you're having a meeting there, an award ceremony or something. You can reach them at 702-227-9100. 702-227-9100. The owner's name is Bob. Can't forget it. We are back. This next story comes from WPRI TV 12 in Providence, Rhode Island, reported on 9/17 of 19. The incident took place on Simmons Street shortly before 11 p.m. on Monday night. The intended victim told officers he was outside his home smoking, standing basically in the front yard or front porch, when a 26-year-old subject came up and placed a firearm to his head and said, "Run your pockets." According to the resident, the armed robber wasn't satisfied with what was in his pockets and pushed him inside his apartment. A physical fight started, and the resident was able to reach his own gun and shoot the would-be robber. Police say the 26-year-old then fled the home. They generally do that when you shoot at them. The intended victim returned the gun to his safe. It's obviously where it was when he went to get it. The 26-year-old criminal was charged with armed robbery after being located by the police at a Rhode Island hospital. Major David LaPatin said the robbery victim is not being charged in the shooting, though the incident is under investigation. This is an example of why everyone should have a deterrent firearm in their house, a defense firearm. I'm glad he was able to return it to his gun safe before the officers arrived. There's probably a safe storage law in that state that keeps him safe. Don, what do you think?
Here's a comment I have on your safe storage issue. Will placing the firearm back in the safe do one of several things? A, change the physical dynamics of the weapon. That is, the slide may have been locked back. There may have been a round in the chamber when let's assume that that there was a semi-auto, or even if it was a revolver. When you change the dynamics, such as ejecting the cartridge, you have to explain that full cartridge which is on the floor. And if you pick up that cartridge and you put it back in the magazine, have you not changed the physical dynamics of the cartridges in the magazine? Answer, yes. By placing the firearm in the safe, have you wiped off perhaps some gunshot residue? Is there going to be gunshot residue inside of the safe? Here's what I recommend to my clients. If you're involved in a shooting, leave the weapon as is, unless there are children around. Put it by your foot. Have your hand raised in the air, other hand on the cell phone, and tell the officers, I'm the good guy. I'm the guy in the flannel shirt coming out of Walmart with my red T-shirt on, which says "Make America Great Again," without mentioning the name of the President of the United States. But tell him the weapon is on the ground. It may or may not be loaded, tell him. There may or may not be a round in the chambers. But if you let the officer eject a cartridge, even if it's, who's got to explain it? The officer. The officer has to explain that to criminalistics and in a report. And that saves you, the man who's going to be handcuffed, from making a further statement to explain why this cartridge is on the ground. In your home, yes, safe storage, and that's a quandary. Can I use my weapon in my home and I use it? Am I not required to have safe storage because of the children? That's a good point. Or is it going to be one of those exigent circumstances where I put it down by my feet, the kids were in the bedroom, so they were not going to be endangered? That's how I see this case.
Yeah. I don't really see what else the guy could have done. If you're standing on your own property having a cigarette and somebody sticks a gun against your forehead, there's no good outcome to this. And hopefully he will be fine in Rhode Island, not being horribly familiar with the laws. I think he must be, because he took the trouble to put the gun back in the safe. So there's no doubt a safe storage law there. Maybe you just want to get it where the police didn't see it in his hand. Yeah, advisable too. This story, I really wanted to have time to get to, and we do. We've got 11 minutes left. So this is from KFSN TV 30. It's an ABC affiliate in Fresno, California, your favorite state, Mr. Green. Police report a Lyft driver had just dropped off a passenger in the west central Fresno area around 3 a.m. Sunday morning, and then pulled over as he waited for another pickup. Two men walked up to him and demanded money. The driver agreed to give the men cash, but instead of reaching for his money, he pulled out a gun of his own and fired at the would-be armed robbers. The suspects fired back, hitting the driver in the side of his body, presumably not of the car. Responding paramedics rushed the driver to a nearby hospital, where he was last listed in critical condition. At the time the story was written, I have not any follow-up to it yet. A lieutenant named Tim Chijin with the Fresno Police Department said, I mean, how sad. The guy's just trying to work. He's trying to do his job, and he's confronted by two individuals who are trying to take his hard-earned money from him. To me, that's extremely sad, and our prayers are with the victim. I appreciate that on the part of the police officer. Has nothing to do with the legalities of the case, but it's nice comments. The suspects took off before the officers arrived, and investigators reportedly were looking for surveillance video in the neighborhood. Here's why this story just annoyed me. A Lyft spokeswoman told Fox News and other media the driver had logged off the Lyft platform before the incident took place. In a statement, she said, what's being reported here is terrifying. But while this incident did not occur on platform, meaning he was off duty, we have reached out to the driver to extend our support and stand ready to assist law enforcement in their investigation. Lyft, then she says, Lyft has a strict no weapons policy for both riders and drivers, which I'm sure they do. From the Lyft spokeswoman's comments, it appears the driver is on his own. They certainly want to avoid a lawsuit from the wounded armed robbers. You can keep your life and lose your job. Is that their policy? But wait, if you're dead, you don't need the job. The same policy gets our taxi drivers and limo drivers here in Las Vegas hurt all the time. Mr. Green.
Bob?
Fresno, California.
What is a platform?
Apparently what they're referring to is their wording for when you're logged on as a live driver. When you log off, you're not on their platform there, which is their...
I mean, is it the car? Is it something on the computer?
It's when you're on the computer, off the computer. You're on or off duty.
Because she was, as you point out, she was very careful that he logged off, which means, and aren't they supposed to be like some kind of independent contractors?
Well, I think that's been challenged here or there.
So,
but if they are,
they're off the hook.
Then Lyft is off the hook because
theoretically,
he's an independent of course, they're going to sue Lyft.
Because the operation and control test used by the IRS, is it your car? No. Is it your time? No. I was logged off. How are you paid? Well, I get cash every day. or I get a debit account every day, and I'm responsible for my own taxes. But Lyft is avoiding this, and you and I have gone through this on several occasions.
I hate this.
Why do we have so many problems with Uber and Lyft? Is it the absence of a true regulatory authority?
It's the plethora of lobbyists that Uber and Lyft and the ride service have in state and local governments and in D.C.
So therefore, they're exempt from some kind of regulation. We hardly ever see this with cab drivers.
No, we don't see it here.
We see cab drivers getting robbed all the time, but
Yeah.
we don't see a shootout. Plus, I don't see anything about the Lyft driver, regardless of Lyft's policy. I don't see anything, regardless if this is in Fresno County. This driver is going to jail in Los Angeles.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's shooting from an occupied motor vehicle. And does he have a concealed weapon permit? And even if he had a concealed weapon permit, does the force and effect of Lyft's policy rise to the level of law so that he was committing a crime? I think he was committing a crime because can you carry a concealed weapon permit generally on the job? Answer, in California, it has to be specific.
Yeah.
Okay, a security officer carrying weapons. I mean, you're working for who are the people that pick up the Brinks?
Yeah.
The armored car people. You're working some kind of security detail, but not Lyft drivers. So Lyft is very careful, and we reach out and we're going to stand and assist the law enforcement as much as possible, so that we can tell the jury we did everything we could. I see this in California as, because it's in Fresno, because it's in the inland counties, I think that is about the only saving grace for this Lyft driver. Again, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, San Francisco, definitely. This guy's going to jail. And listen to this. The Lyft driver is going to have a higher bail for attempted murder than the guys who's charged with robbing him, and they may be in the cell next to each other.
I disagree. They won't be in the cell next to each other. But I think the jail's smarter than that wherever you go. But but it was a nice comment. We've been over and over this with cab drivers and limo drivers in Las Vegas. We have this strict rule that they cannot be armed, and we've had drivers assaulted so many times I couldn't even count them. We had one that the guy robbed him and then threw a bottle or something, splashed him with gasoline or kerosene, and lit him on fire. Just for the hell of it. Apparently, he'd already got the guy's money. This is a constant with drivers, and it is to leave them not being able to defend their life just is one of the things that just drives me right up the wall. They're responsible enough to go through all the training, get a taxi license. They have weeks and weeks of training and all this kind of stuff and all these regulations. They have cameras in the cabs, so they can see the passengers and see the driver, and that's recorded. So when a cab driver gets murdered here, the police can look at the video and see who the robber was. I'm sure that doesn't do a thing for the guy's wife and children.
That's right.
That they made a big deal. Now we're able to find the perps. Well, you're finding the perps of a murder, so it's a big deal and it's a major case for you. But it doesn't stop the murder. People should be allowed to defend themselves wherever they are, where their life's in danger. They have a right to self-defense and the tools necessary for self-defense. I'll give you, they should have some training in how to safely do it and the basic rules of when you can fire and when you can't, and so forth and so on, to keep themselves out of civil court. But they have an absolute God-given right to defend themselves, and that is that. So we're done. Now I'm going to read the whole closing that I didn't get to read last time when we were on the air last week because we ran out of time. And I've got precisely 3 minutes. So we're just in great shape on this show. We finally got it timed right. Maybe I stopped my clock in the wrong place. You can check out our recent shows at firedupwithboberwin.com. It contains dozens of recent episodes. Please patronize our friends and supporters. When we ran through that thing before of who they are and where they are. Recently, as I've announced a couple times on this show, I am now operating with the support of Battlefield Vegas here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's directly behind Circus off the Strip. An absolutely amazing place. You can go over there today and shoot a minigun in their range. A real full auto, 1,200 billion or 6,000 rounds a second, whatever the hell it is. A real minigun. You can rent a tank and drive over a car if you want in their outdoor facility. They have everything you could possibly imagine.
Bob's car is available.
There it is. Battlefield Vegas. We got a slide for them. I knew we made one up. We were looking for it the other day. But anyway, you can find them online, battlefieldvegas.com. Their website is wonderful. It's got all its stuff on it. I couldn't explain in an hour-long show all the stuff they have. Anyway, we'll be back next Thursday on our website, firedupwithboberwin.com, and on YouTube at the American Guns and Glory Network and numerous other websites, television and websites, television and radio stations. If you're watching us on any media, just click subscribe, and new shows will be sent to your computer or your phone automatically every Thursday at 5 p.m. Please forward these broadcasts to your friends and associates if you would enjoy them. Our logo merchandise, hats, shirts, and books are now available at Battlefield Vegas, just behind Circus, as I said. They have them over the counter and do all that stuff, and they can do mail order if you wish. Go on their website, and they can get you one of my T-shirts or boonie hats or whatever. Remember, the audio portion is rebroadcast on the Nevada Talk Network, Sundays at noon. Check out their stations at KELY1230.com. Thank you for supporting Fired Up. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you, Don, for appearing.
Thank you, Bob, and they'll see us at the upcoming gun shows.
Ah, yes. We're at every major gun show, right next to each other. Thanks for watching. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.